So sometimes when I'm on the phone, I get mistaken for a girl, but out in public, 99% of the people say sir or he or
Mhm.
male, and that doesn't necessarily hurt my feelings because they don't know my story. So of course they're going to say he because they don't know, they haven't had the opportunity to ask. So how else would they know to call me either
Well,
she or her?
most of the time, being a female or is something that's very visual, whether breasts or the makeup
Hmm.
or nails, hands, gestures, curves, those kind of things that they identify with women or trans women that are, becoming themselves. Now, what I like the most about you is the fact that you work and you understand that you are around doctors and nurses, people that can actually help you
Hmm.
become the woman that you want to be. And the fact that you are actually talking to a doctor or a therapist, this is a great thing. So and mainly in a small town. So for those out there in small towns, I think the idea of talking to a therapist first and understanding your options, and that therapist understanding you as an individual and understanding the decision that you are about to make will impact your life for a lifetime. I understood that. But back then in the day, I didn't have the support that we have now.
Hmm. Right.
And, I look at it this way, Rodney. The fact that you are taking steps, and maybe in a small town, to become the person you want to be is very courageous. And it will really set an example for other trans women or transgendered people that feel the same way you do. And hopefully, our show will educate them and let them know that sometimes your neighbor could be transgendered or this way or that way. But we also have to remember not everybody's going to support us.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not the way life is.
Right.
You're gonna have to become very strong in the next few months, and then through your transition you're gonna have to become stronger
Right.
in so many ways, and even from your own transgender community. So you're going to be looking at a lot of roadblocks, but I think that you can do what you need to do to be the person that you want to be. I'm really glad. Like, I want to just ask you something. How do you identify right now? How do you identify, and then how do you feel about that identity?
Well, I identify as she because that's who the person that I am and becoming, and because like I said, transition is a process. Um, and right now, I this year I turned 40, and I am to the point where I don't want to be 70 years old or older going through the process because I don't want to say my shoulda, coulda, wouldas. I'm in a position now where even though I'm in a small town, I'm 40 years old. I need to start living my life for me, and the supports that are out there, even though few, grab onto those supports so I can reach the position where I eventually want to be.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask you something now that I think is really prevalent or relative to what we're talking about, relationships. You're a 40-year-old and you identify as she. Now, you're a 40-year-old trans person in a small town. This is when you probably should be having children or in a lasting relationship, have a house, have that stability of sort of family, whether you're in a relationship or a committed civil union of somehow. Now,
Mhm.
the transition process that you're thinking about going through is going to take years.
Mhm.
So, what's going to happen with you and the life that you should probably be seeking with either another person or or a civil union, or how are you going to do that and that if you are seeking a relationship? Because somewhere along the line in a small town, companionship is very important.
Hmm. Well, for myself, I would absolutely right now love to have a relationship. However, I also know that starting my transition and, currently living boy mode, but eventually, living as a girl, and having gender reassignment surgery, that individual right now is probably going to be a gay male that is going to maybe want to date me, but he's going to have to soon realize that, even though I may look like a boy and live like a boy, that is very much going to change. So, in order to get into a relationship, you know, to my knowledge, a gay man wants to date another man. And even though I have male parts, if you will,
Hmm.
um, one day I won't. So does that mean that that relationship is no longer going to be valid or important? Because I can't expect him to say. And there are maybe some people who will stay in a relationship. I've heard that that's can happen, and it does happen. But how often does that happen? When I guess when a partner transitioned, and then all of a sudden he is now she, and your partner. I can't expect my gay boyfriend to all of a sudden now be into women, because that's also not fair to them to put that expectation on them just because I want to have a relationship.
Hmm. Now, a quick question: do you ever